This video discusses double declining balance method, and there's several things that are unique about this method. So I'm going to be very careful to explain those so that you get them correct on the test. Terminology is still all the same, and we're going to use the 5 years. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to figure out what is the straight line rate, and then we're going to double it. That's why it's called double declining balance. What declining balance means is that this is an accelerated method. We take more depreciation expense in the beginning and less as the asset's life runs out. So the straight line rate, if it's 5 years, 1 divided by 5, 1/5 every year, is 20%. Double that is 40%. The rate we are going to use is 40%. So first you have to be able to calculate the straight line rate, and then you have to be able to double it. There's a couple of questions on your test that are nothing more than that. So make sure you know how to get the rate for double declining balance. All right, now for depreciation expense, here's the weird thing. The first thing is we do not subtract out the salvage value. We do not subtract the salvage value. We're going to take depreciation expense is going to be the rate times the book value at the beginning of that year. Now the book value at the beginning of the year changes every year because the book value is the cost, the $10,000, minus whatever depreciation has accumulated. So it's the cost minus the accumulated depreciation. So this amount is going to change every year. So for the first year, it's easy. Our book value is $10,000 because we don't have any accumulated depreciation. So we're going to take our cost times our rate of 40%. So our depreciation expense for year 1 is $4,000. Now you can see how high that is because the cost of our asset is $10,000, and in year 1 out of 5 we're already taking $4,000. Double the straight line rate, you're always using the beginning of the period book value. Now here's where it gets weird. So we're going to follow along. So in the first year we have our $10,000. Here's our $4,000 accumulated depreciation. So our book value is $6,000. Cost minus accumulated depreciation equals book value. Now, this book value is going to come back over here because that's what we're going to start with. We're going to take our book value times the rate. So our year 2 depreciation expense is $2,400. Our accumulated depreciation is the $4,000 plus the $2,400 gives us the $6,400. The book value is the $10,000 minus the $6,400 gives us $3,600. That's our new book value. That book value is going to go over here for the next year. Now we're going to take our $3,600, which is our new book value, times our rate. So for year 3, our depreciation expense is $1,440. You can see how it's declining. Our accumulated depreciation is the $6,400 plus this year's $1,440 gives us $7,840. Our book value is our cost, $10,000, minus the $7,840. Our book value is the $2,160. We're going to move that book value over here. 2,160 times our 40% rate gives us an expense of $864. Our accumulated depreciation is the $7,840 plus the $864 gives us $8,704. Our cost, our new book value, is the cost minus accumulated depreciation gives us our new book value of $1,296. Now, here's where it gets tricky. If I take that 1,296, I'm going to move it over here, times 40%, what do you get? You get too much. We didn't set aside the salvage value like we did on the other methods. We didn't set aside the salvage value. So we have to adjust at the end. We know two things. We know that our book value cannot go below $1,000. And we know that our total accumulated depreciation is going to be $9,000. So if we have $1,296 in our book value, the most we can subtract is $296 because we have to end with $1,000. So for the last year, we're going to take this $296. That is our depreciation expense. We have to plug that in. That gives us accumulated depreciation of $9,000, and now we end with a book value of $1,000 and depreciation expense of $9,000. So you're always going to have to manually adjust when you get toward the end and make sure that you do not go below that salvage value. We're going to work an example. This is the example from our practice problems. Ramirez Company installed a manufacturing machine at its factory at the beginning of the year for a cost of $83,600. The machine's useful life is 20 years. We don't need the units. We don't need salvage value now either. And we don't need the units. Okay, so if its estimated life is 20 years, this is when you have to figure out, how do I know what double the straight line rate is? Well, the straight line rate is 1 divided by 20, which is 5%, times 2. So the rate is 10%. So on the top, this time, we're going to use beginning book value. Now, the first year that happens to be cost, but the formula is beginning book value divided by double the straight line rate. So in the first year, our beginning book value is our cost because we haven't done any depreciation. Double the straight line rate is 10%. So our depreciation expense in the first year is $83,660. Now we need our second year's depreciation. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to figure out the beginning book value. Our book value was originally the cost of $83,600. The book value is the cost minus accumulated depreciation. In year one, we had depreciation expense of $83,660, so we're going to subtract that. So our new book value is $75,240. The rate stays the same. So that's our second year's depreciation expense. All right, that's declining balance. Remember to pay attention to the tricky things about it.